All right, welcome to Bigas web channel, and this is another video. And as you saw in the thumbnail and title, this video is about route permission. So once again, the same project. And what is this video about? So I said route permission because you see, when you are developing a big project where you have different roles of user, so in that case, depending on different role, you might be showing them different routes or restricting them from different routes. So if they are admin, they can see certain buttons, they can see certain things, and obviously your backend will also be restricting those, but you will be also restricting those in your UI. And that is what this video is about. So if that sounds good, please hit the like button. If you are new to my channel and you like this kind of content, subscribe my channel. Let's start the video. Okay, for this video as well, I am going to use the same React router project that I have been using in my previous videos. You can go and check all those videos. How did I set up? How did I do what we have done so far? In this project, we have several routes, and then we also have some nested routes. On top of that, we have protected and public route. So this is one thing about route restriction, which I have already gone in my previous video. You can see that this is a protected route, and all I'm doing there is I'm checking if user is authenticated or not. If authenticated, I'm rendering outlet. If not, I'm navigating to login page. And in our public route, it is basically the opposite of it. And this is okay in most of the cases. But what if you want to also go one extra step and check them and say that if the user is authenticated and user is admin, user has a role of admin, then only take me or take that person to that UI or to that route. Okay, let's come back to the UI state a little bit later, but first let's try to go through the route thing. So for this, we need to modify our code a little bit. So in my previous this protected route tutorial, that video, all we have done is when we are logging, we are just setting item local storage set item, and then the user will be just test. Now we need to also get some sort of a role from the user, and for this video let's go with role, just two roles. One will be admin and another will be user. That's all. But once you get this idea, you can add many other roles. For example, it can be manager and so on. But for now, we just have user and admin, two roles. Okay, for now let's just go here and let's just say role is admin. And this doesn't work like that because we need to do json.stringify, and then we need to wrap this here, and now we have this. So now instead of returning true or false, we need to return two things. One is, so we need to return something like this. We can do auth, and that can be true or false, and then we can also return role, and that can be admin or user in our case. So that's what we want to return. So let's go and let's change this, and then if we have user, then auth is true. Okay, and then role is user.role. Obviously it doesn't exist at the moment, however that's what we want. And if we don't have, then what we do is auth is false, and obviously role is null because there isn't any role. All right, so now let's go and modify this. All right, that's all we needed. And if we don't have anything, we have. So now from auth, what we can do is instead of getting this auth, we can do like this, auth and then role. Why? Because as you can see, we are returning those two things from here, and we have role. So now our code will still work same like it. If I log out, this goes to login. If I go, and I can view all the routes, and that's all good. But on top of that, now we have one more thing available, and that is role. Protected route state, and that can be type, protected route type, And then here we can say role required, and that is string, or actually let's give this admin or user. We need something like that, one of those. If needed, we will change it to any other string later, but let's just have that for now. Okay, so what we want is, we want here props, and that is protected route type. Okay, so now if I go to do props dot, and you can see we get role required. However, okay, so this can be optional. So why I'm saying this can be optional is because in some cases we only want to check whether this is auth or not. In some cases we want to check whether the role required is present or not. So now what we want is, here we check like if the role required is there or not. So if we have passed role required, then what we need to do is, if role props dot role required, in that case we do that, else we can do this. Obviously we can also change this to similar approach. So let's copy this again. So if we have props.role required, first we will check if auth, right? And then if there is auth, we also check if props.role required is same as a role. If that's the case, then we do outlet. In any other case, we will do navigation to this. And I think there is still something missing, and that is, let's do this also here. So that way, what we are doing here is, we have like so many if here. So first let's go with this auth. So if there is auth, then we go inside this. If not, we will navigate to login. That's one thing. And then second is, if prop role required is role, then we render outlet. So that means to render outlet, we need two things. First, it needs to be authenticated and it needs to have the role that is required. Then we render outlet. In any other two cases, we navigate to login. Also, it would be nice that here when we are navigating, instead of this, we can even have like some other thing saying permission denied. So we can have some other page instead of navigation. So that can be also done. Then let's go to our routes. Okay. And then somewhere here, anywhere, even outside our public routes, we can have here so what we can do is, I can just take one of these. I have here, and I can say that we can have some route called denied, and here all we want to do is permission denied, and that's already imported there. That's good. So now here, instead of this navigate to login, we can just navigate to denied. So let's go here, let's refresh. So now we are in these pages. Okay. However, if our role required will be not admin, so Let's go to our routes here, and then we can use protected routes component, and let's go and let's say for visiting tab 2 we need protected route. So you see, we can use basically the same approach, exactly the same approach what we were doing earlier. But one more thing, so let's go here, let's wrap, so we can wrap all this, okay, and then that is our tab 2, okay, and then what we can say is protected routes, and role required here is admin. Our tabs 2 is role required admin, and since our user at the moment has admin, let's give here role required is user. What happens? You see, we are getting permission denied. If you are in any other pages, you can do nicely, even if you can go tab 3, but if I go to tab 2, it will take me to permission denied. So this is good. However, in a real case scenario, there can be different permissions. So let's say we have permissions, and you can have different role, for example admin, and similarly you have manager and you have user and so on. So what you can do is you can give a value like this, so, and for your user you can give 1 and so on. So your admin and super admin, they will have the higher value. And then what you can do is, instead of checking exact string match here, you can do is that permission, and then like, so what is permission, and then you can pass the role here, and if that is equals to or greater than whatever the role that is required, okay, so this will be the real role of user, and then that is role required. So if anybody, so now if our user is admin, so permission.role of the user will be 3, and then role required, in our case, in our example here, we are passing role required user, so that role required user will be 1, so 3 is greater than 1. So if this matches, then we continue with that. So this is just idea how you can do it. Additionally, we can also do with component, which is what I'm going to show you as the last part of this video. I'm not going to deal with this permission, because in that case probably our this one protected route is not enough. We might need to create a permission route instead of protected route and then do it there, because our protected route is only for auth and not auth, and then our permission route will be for each of those, like where we want to have different permission, we can pass there and so on. I would like to create one component, and that component will be something called use permission. So let's go and let's duplicate our, let's say this tab 1, and this we can say with permission, it's just a name, and with permission what we can do is, first let's change this, and let's say the name is with permission. So what we want to do is we want to have some props here. So let's go type and let's do props. So the props is role required, that's what we want, and that we can have string. Okay, at the moment we can just have user, and then what we can do, the next one is we can have a message, and this can be string. All right, so now what we can do, we can have props, and that will be props type, and then here we can do that role required and then message from our props. Okay, And additionally, whatever we have done in our protected route, we can also get all this use auth, and then let's do so. So we have also use auth from here, and then I think we don't need to set auth. Okay, so we don't need set auth. All we need is role, and then we don't need to console log this. I guess this should be all good. Actually, instead of us, we can say use role, and then we don't need to even do this. We can just return user role, if we don't have else, let's return our default user. Okay, so we will be using use role, and it will get everything from local storage. Okay, so now here what we can do is const role is from use role. Okay, so now we have role, and also we have role require and everything from props. If we go to our tab, that is permission decide, and we have tab 3. Okay, and then in our tab 3, let's go here and let's import our with permission. So you know what better will be, let's go here and with permission. So we can have something like that, and you can see it already needs something. So with permission, okay, children never is missing. Okay, so we require props, role required and message. So let's say role required here is admin, and message is we can say only admin can view this. Okay, and this is also saying that children is missing. So let's go here, and here what we can do is here we can have children, and that can be optional, and it can be our react.react node. Okay, so that's good. Now we go back to our tab 3. So we have this, and here we can write something. You can write any component, anything inside this, but here just for our fun, I will just do hello only for admin. Okay, so this is like only for admin, and or we can say welcome admin. Okay, so instead of this, you can have any component, anything. You can wrap all your div whatever you want. However, this is how you can use with permission. You can give what is the permission required for this, and what message you want to display if there is nothing. Additionally, we can go here and we can also make this message as an optional. So now let's go here, and all we need to do here is we don't want any div or anything. So we need to check if role required. Let's do that. If we have role required is same as our user role, then we can render children. If that's the case, then only we require render children. if role required is what we can do is, instead of this, if that's the case, we render children. If not, we just show maybe as 3, and we can show the message. Okay, so if we have message, we show message. If not, we show empty string. So what we are doing, we are saying that we are getting our role from whoever is our authenticated user. Okay, just like in our protected route. And then in our protected route, we had a little bit more. We had user, if it exists or not. But in this case, we already should know that the user is authenticated there. Otherwise, we wouldn't show them this route at all. They will be redirected to a login screen. But in this case, if they are user and if they have a role required, then we will show that to them. And if not, we will not show that to them. So now let's go here. It says welcome admin. It says welcome admin because we have the role admin. So now let's go back to our login here. And here, instead of admin, let's do user. Obviously, in real case, you will send request to backend, and then backend will from database give whatever the real role user has. So now let's log out. Let's log in. Okay, so let's go to tabs. We can see, let's go to tab 2. We can see tab 2 because tab 2 is visible for our user role, and that is our route level permission. However, we have also component permission, and if you see, go to tab 3, it doesn't redirect to anything because it is not route level permission. It is just our component permission, and it says only admin can view this. So with these two approaches, one approach, as you can see, is from our route here. We pass this, and then in our protected route, or as I said earlier, if you want to separate it from protected route, just like we have with permission component, you can also have a route that is called permission routes, and there you check the user required role versus the component or that route required role, and if it matches, then you can render that route. Otherwise, you can show the error message or redirect them to whatever the page you would like to redirect. And same with the component, you can do similar thing. And also here, as I said earlier, you can have some sort of values. Like for example, I was telling you earlier that you can have something called permission here, and then permission can have admin, manager, developer, user, whatever you want. And instead of this, you can check that the role required numerical value is greater than or smaller than or whatever is your condition. So in that case, whatever the user can access, developer, manager, admin can access, and so on. So you can also change that to numerical value and then do it. I hope now you have a very clear idea about how to handle different kind of permission for different pages, how to hide things, how to show things, and so on. You can do the same thing instead of S3 here, so if I go here, now I can also have a button, and then button can be edited. So for example, if I go here, if I refresh, only admin can view this. But if I log out, if I go here to log in, and let's change this back to admin again, and now if I log in as admin, if I go to tabs, if I go to tab 3, now I can see the edit button, and probably with this I can edit something. And obviously just hiding it in front end is not enough. Your backend should also do the permission middleware check or whatever they do, so that even in case if someone does postman request, so then backend should be able to check that. So that's all for this video. If you like this kind of content, hit the subscribe button. With that being said, thank you so much for watching. Keep coding. Bye bye.